are back. Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're now moving into our second segment. Now, this one is a conversation with a life coach. Now, this life coach will be telling us about the importance of having a vision and taking control of your mind to achieve it. In with us, life coach Melanie Escalante. Mel, good morning.
Morning. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, there we go.
We are happy to have you. We hope you're hearing us clearly now. But this is a conversation we are looking forward to. It's always a great time to get some motivation going.
Yeah.
And you come equipped with all the tips to help us.
Well, just seeing a little bit, I didn't see all, but a little bit of the previous segment, and, just thinking about things that are happening today, it's not lost on me that I saw a poster yesterday for the Ministry of Education Symposium today, talking about reimagining the future. And of course, we had the wonderful news yesterday that Dr. Carla Barnett has been appointed as the Secretary General to CARICOM.
Yeah.
And she was instrumental. She was the leader of the Horizon 2030, which was visioneering for Belize, a future for Belize for 2030, back in 2010. And so, looking at the conversation this morning and looking at the fact that people are challenged. It's challenging times coming out of the pandemic, but life in itself can be challenging. And a way to make life better, for me, my bias is through visioneering, is having a vision for a compelling future, creating something for ourselves, imagining life to be better, and then putting things in place to get there. And, the Bible tells us in Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish.
Yeah.
And some of the things that we're talking about this morning, like domestic violence, would just be one symptom of maybe perishing, that if we left our mind to go to these places, we can find ourselves in a place where we're kind of hopeless and we do things that are not good for us.
Yeah.
And so, I'm grateful to be here. Like I said, it's not lost on me that I'm here today.
Yeah.
And I think whoever's listening to this today, that we're all here for a reason today. And we do want to move ourselves to a place of how can we create better for ourselves? Can we get a better vision for ourselves?
Melanie, I'm so grateful for what you've just stated, because that's part of why we feel that this conversation is so timely. When things get difficult, it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And right now, people are talking about pay cuts. They're looking at a distressed economy. They're concerned about health, and that there are all these fears that are happening. And you can be so weighed down by the challenges of today that you no longer have that same vision or connection with the future that you may want or have wanted. So we're hoping that today you can give us some tips on how to reconnect with that, how to keep people motivated even when things get tough.
Yeah, and so thank you. Indeed, we do get lost in the trials and tribulations of life. And so it is important for us to, when we create a vision for the future, that we really work towards making it something that we want, and not just something that we want for ourselves, but something that we want that's going to make a change in our circumstances, whether it's in our community, whether it's in our country, whether it's in the region or in the world, that we can imagine better. And if we can imagine better, then we have the imagination to create a plan to move us to a better place. And I do want to make the point, I see you showing the slide there about instantaneous change. Instantaneous change is possible, because it's just a matter of making a choice in your mind. And if you want things to be better, then let's start looking at a vision of the future. I have there that what is a compelling vision? So obviously a vision is a mental picture of the future, But a compelling vision is then where it's an improved future, it's a more productive future, and it's an effective future. And you'll notice there that I spelled useful in 2 words purposely, because I want us to think about it as a future where it's fully used, that we're using ourselves fully, and we're using our resources fully, but that it's also useful, as in useful to others, that it's beneficial to all. And when you go into that space in your mind, you can, in your mind, create the instantaneous change. So if you're kind of stuck in that place of things are hard, I'm not saying it's not hard, but you can go into your mind and say, okay, things are hard, so what can I do about it? What do I really want? Where do I want to be? And then what can I do to get there? So this is how we make it compelling, because we really need to get into that why. Why do we want it? What will it do for us? And why do we want what it will do for us? And then what is important about that for us? So just for example, if we're looking for a state change for Belize, and we want a Belize where people are empowered and people are thriving, then we want to ask ourselves, why do we want that? And we'll say, well, maybe what is today is something that we don't want. And we want to have people live life to their full potential. And what would that do for us if people are living their life to their full potential? And then we'd see that people are happy, people are thriving, including myself. I would be in that space as well. And if I'm in that space of thriving, what is important about that? It's basically just that. We get this opportunity to be fully who we are. We get this opportunity to experience all the goodness of life and to be creators and solutionaries in the problems and the challenges, thereby fulfilling our potential. Yeah. And so we get really into, if I don't do this, I see I have this vision. If I don't do it, then what's at risk is me living to my full potential, is me living life to the fullest. And so I can't afford to let life get me down. I can't afford to let these circumstances get in the way. So in spite of the circumstances, I must continue with my vision.
Yeah. I'm so, when I saw your slides, I loved that particular direction. The idea of establishing your why. There are books on this. There's a book called Start With Your Why by Simon Sinek. And it's so powerful when you think of it, because once you lose sight of why you're doing something, it is a very tough spot to come out of. And I don't want to skip directly to just saying, find your why again. Again, going back to it. So for people today who are looking at life, and they have all their concerns, and we talk about reestablishing that vision for themselves, what are some tried and true tips of how to move past I think you said it before, things are bad. Okay, now what? How do you get yourself there?
It is interesting because it's really about asking yourself, what do you want?
Yes.
So, where your focus goes, your energy flows. So if you're focusing on things are hard, then you're going to be focusing on the things that come up for you are going to be more of the hard,
Yeah.
So it's really kind of asking yourself what you want. And quite honestly, people have been stuck in the underwhelm, the overwhelm, the sense of a lack of control, lack of confidence. So we're not denying that, but if we can acknowledge that we are creative, we are creators, we do have imagination. Some of us may have not used our imagination for a long time, but we do remember as children that we were very imaginative, So if we can use our imagination to look at the things that have brought us joy in life, the things that are meaningful for us, the things that we'd like to see change, what is it that we want? And then what is it that we want to see as a result of our contribution, as a result of our participation in the world? What is the outcome you're looking for? What is the impact you're looking for? those are some of the questions that you can ask. What is the future state that you desire for yourself, for your family, for your business? Wherever you're engaging, if you're a volunteer in voluntary services, what is the future state that you want to see for that? Yeah. And so I talk about least challenging, most challenging parts of this. The least challenging part is the visioneering part. But I do want to say that because for most of us, as we've got older, we haven't used our imagination that much. It's kind of become unfamiliar to us to use it. So it's about staying in that space. It's about insisting to yourself that you stay in the space to answer the questions of what do you really want.
It's like people who start an exercise routine. You wake up one day and you can go for a run. But are you going to wake up every day after that and go for a run?
Yeah, sorry, Marlene, I didn't hear you.
I was saying it's like people who wake up one day and start to exercise. But are they going to wake up every day and start to exercise?
Indeed. And, if you can, it's not possible for everybody because, we're talking about coming out of the pandemic and it's been challenging times, and we've kind of started to condition our minds a bit to the difficulties and the frustration, and even, dare I even visualize something because I don't know what tomorrow brings. This pandemic has brought so much uncertainty for us. But if we can practice and keep practicing, asking ourselves and insisting to ourselves that we answer that question, if we can find somebody, a friend, a colleague, a mentor, that we can start bouncing these ideas off and just continue to explore and let your mind open, that imagination will return.
It comes across, reading, having conversations about exactly what you'd want. I think these are great conversations to eventually try and give you that vision. But Mel, I also wanted, after reading your slides this morning earlier, I thought to myself, man, the state of what the country is in, and for a lot of people who actually focuses on getting what they want from GOB, are they able to recognize a vision or even recognize what a vision is? How do you recognize what your vision is?
Well, yeah. First of all, I want to suggest that we don't necessarily look to others to have the solutions for us. Mm-hmm. So, that we're not so much looking at what we want from others, but what we want to see, the outcome we want to see in the world, the impact that we want to have, and then putting our creative minds to use to that end. Mm-hmm. And so it's really an inward journey, and it's an inward responsibility. I used to have a poster in my office that I loved at the time, and it was 10 two-letter words to live by. If it is to be, it is up to me.
Wow.
So, for want of a better explanation, and not wanting to get so much into this current issue of, let's say, the 10%, is there other things that we can do in our lives to be more in control of our lives and not subject to, is there something that we can do in the evenings, for example, that may be even more lucrative than what we're doing during the daytime? Is there something that we can work towards? Can we increase our value, mm-hmm. In the education system, even if we're talking about that, or in the public service, for example, how can we increase our value? How can we add more, bring more, so that we can receive more, because it's in giving that we receive.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's when you talk about if it's to be, it's up to me, it's kind of reestablishing your own power. And when things get difficult, you can look around and play that blame game. Oh, it's the economy, it's the job, it's the this, it's the that. But then regaining that sense of power and turning back to yourself can be a challenging process. And what would you say are some of the things that people can ask themselves how to reestablish their own power?
I think it's really recognizing, first of all, like I said earlier, that you are a creative being. You know, you are created to create.
Yeah.
And so it's really just getting back to that. What do I want, and why do I want it? And it's trying to acknowledge maybe that you're part of something bigger. You know, I heard Michelle and Cynthia talking about the community responsibility. You know, that we're here to work together. We're here to make life better, not only for ourselves, but for others. And so if we can, and I do want to mention this because I was going to mention it earlier when we talked about the education symposium and reimagining the future, that it would be a wonderful thing if education systems around the world would acknowledge and realize this innate skill, this a part of the human, a part of being human is to create. And so to encourage, it's as opposed to just putting on children knowledge, encourage them to draw out their creativity, encourage them to look at what they know about themselves and how they're presenting in the world and how that can be a contribution to the world. So, I mean, obviously the education is a good place to start, but you're also talking about the fact that adults now are in this place where they've lost that connection to that creative place. But I just want to assure that it's there. And so it's really the willingness to go there and to look to yourself to say, how can it be? How can I be? Am I being all that I need to be in order to create what I want and what I see is possible?
I'm blown away by some of the things that we're learning here from you, Mel, simply because it comes across as shaping out what your future is, will be or going to be. It reminds me of our eye-opener from this morning, exactly where we started, whereby fear of the future can paralyze us, but we can allow it to unfold easily when we keep to the present moment. What to you does that mean, Cynthia? Mel?
Well, you know, going back to the slides that I had talking about what's easy and what's hard about this is the hard part is not recognizing, the hard part is that our mind is conditioned. So recognizing that our mind is conditioned from various experiences in our lives, things that people have told us. You know, people might have told us, oh, you're not creative, you can't sing, or you're a waste of time, or you're always making trouble. You know, different things that people have put on us. Or maybe we had a challenge in a math class when we were at school, and so we decided because we got a bad grade once that we're not good at math. And so, you know, we've created these programs that run subconsciously in our minds.
Yes.
And we need to recognize that there is this habitual part of us. There is this conditioning part of us. So we need to then look at some of those things that I mentioned to you, is like, who do I need to be? You know, what character traits do I need to have? What values do I need to have? And then how can I get them? And when I look at how I can get them, then I need to do the work. And this is why I said it's the most challenging, because I need to do the work to condition my mind to becoming that person, to having those values, to living those character traits. Practice, 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 because this is how you get something in your subconscious mind. How you get to condition your mind is by repetition, doing something over and over again. And so you have to initially go through that exercise of effort. And it's tremendous effort because the conditioning that you already have is working against you.
Yeah.
Because the habit is to be somebody else, to do something else. And so you've got to do that work to initially create a new program, a new habit of being that best version of yourself. And once you've got the program in, people say 21 days to create a habit, some say up to 60 days to create a habit. But once you've done that and you've put in that work to be intentional about that, the habit, as you know, as all of us know, is unconscious.
Yeah, it's autopilot.
It's effortless. You don't have to do anything for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is autopilot, and I'm so glad you said that. That there's what we have always done, and oftentimes when you want to change that, you can never shy away from the amount of work and effort it's going to take. And you may, and if you're consistent, you'll be able to reach that autopilot phase, but it comes after the work and effort. Yeah.
Wow. Mel, this is just so amazing to be able to focus on exactly the importance of having a vision and taking control of your mind to achieve it. Now, is that a difficult thing to do, to take control of your mind to actually achieve what you want to achieve?
Well, I think this is what we just referenced there, John, is that conditioning your mind, it can be simple, in that, for example, when you were a child, maybe you had an experience of something that frightened you, and it was so frightening that so quickly it went into your mind that you decided afterwards, I'm scared of snakes or I'm scared of spiders, and that has been the program for life.
Yeah.
And yet we see people who are naturalists, who are environmentalists, that are so much at ease with tarantulas and even poisonous snakes and what have you, right? They can manage those things. They don't have that fear. And so, if we just recognize that we're built, first of all, to have choice. So we've got two parts to our minds. One is like our thinking mind, where we can make these decisions, where we can imagineer and look at what we want and who we want to be. But we have to acknowledge that most of the way we run our lives is from that autopilot, is from that conditioning. And so that's where we go back to, once we've decided what it is and who we need to be, then we must do the work for the conditioning, because if we're not there already, it means our conditioning, our current conditioning, is not serving us. There's a philosopher by the name of Osho, and he says, mind, the beautiful servant, a dangerous master. And so if your mind is conditioned badly, it will be that dangerous master, and you will experience things that don't serve you. And then if you condition it well, it can become your beautiful servant.
We had a motivational quote or eye-opener this morning that touched exactly on that, and how our fears oftentimes direct the narrative that we tell ourselves. And very often we have to question those very same things we tell ourselves about ourselves. And that's exactly what comes to mind when you speak of that specific quote. We have perhaps decided that something is too hard, or decided or believed that we can't do something. And we are the only ones who can challenge it. No amount of cheerleaders on the outside can change that but us.
Exactly. So it really is kind of asking ourselves, how is that serving us? How is thinking like that serving us? How is that going to get us to where we want to go? How is being like this going to get me the goals that I'm aiming for? And in the slide that you just had up there, you'll notice I had the reference to the Bible again there with Romans 12:2, talking about be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And right at the beginning of the slides, with the intro there is just saying the transformational power of a compelling vision. And so there is the vision aspect, and then there is the transforming your mind, and that is what is going to take you to your vision. You must do the work to transform your mind. And I want to make the point that the Bible says it's not a suggestion that you can be transformed, and it's not saying if you want, it's really an instruction. It starts with the word be. So it's telling us, be transformed. So it's suggesting maybe the way we are is not all that we can be, but we can be transformed by the renewing of our minds.
Melanie Escalante. Wow, blown away by what you've shared with us this morning. We want to thank you so very much for joining us this morning. And here's to wishing you a very, very good day.
Thank you so much. God bless. Bye-bye.
All right, we're about to take a break. When we come back, we're still